With the world going bonkers right now, Terra Luna UST is important. But say that you're attracted to this idea of a decentralized stablecoin and you believe in that future. Is it too late to buy Luna here? I mean, it's gone from cents to $100. So should you in fact sell and try to buy back later to get a bigger share of it, if we now believe it has a bright future? I have reached a clear conclusion to that for myself, and I'll share it with you in this video. When I prepared for this video, I of course watched all the other big videos on Terra, and two things struck me. First, what staggering amount of details is available, but then also that what I think is the one thing that's most important wasn't really talked much about here. We can look into some of the details first. In terms of staked value, Terra has actually passed Ethereum 2.0 and Cardano ADA and Avalanche and Polkadot and BNB. Only Solana is still ahead in terms of staked value. In terms of ecosystem, it's absolutely enormous already. No one can dispute the amount of activity, and many exchanges have yet to list native Luna, and it's smart to integrate all blockchains. You win through collaboration, not competition. Competition we did in the 90s, guys, that's yesterday. Anyone who's out there trying to win by explaining how his or her project X is better than another project Y isn't going to make it. You win by explaining how your project X is going to be useful for project Y. This is probably the topic for another video, but Terra is no doubt doing it right. And decentralization is definitely the trend. As we all know, USDT is the dominating stablecoin, but it has two super big risks in my opinion. Number one, it's completely centralized. Few people realize that, but Tether can freeze individual USDT wallet addresses. Now, say that some well-meaning politician who is desperate to do something to help with the horrible Ukraine-Russia situation decides that Tether has to freeze all wallets until they can sort out if Russia somehow uses USDT to evade sanctions. Number two, we don't know if it's fully backed or not. And if it is backed, is that backing liquid? This feels pretty similar to a banknote actually, and if there is a bank run, this could turn ugly. Sweden, which did Europe's first banknote 400 years ago, failed. Is Tether repeating that mistake? There's a lot of easy money in this one. Is that good or bad? Pros and cons and considerations about this and that. I could spend hours. How about we skip all that? Because frankly, in crypto, most of it is narrative in some way. And at least in my experience, you almost need to find a way to distance yourself from it and come back to that analysis from your own angle. Let's do that. Alright, I can make another Terra Luna UST video about that later, but in this video, let's only look at the metrics and see where that gets us. Let's do the C-level take, if you will. So if you're attracted to this idea of a decentralized USD stablecoin that isn't backed by USD, but primarily backed by code, a bit like Bitcoin, which doesn't have the question mark whether it's backed or not, and which overambitious regulators can't switch off, then you might remember that you've heard this before here on this channel many years ago. Because two projects began in January 2018. January 2018. With the exact same idea, one asset that is volatile that you burn to create the other asset, which is a stablecoin. So you burn the same dollar value. So to create $100 worth of stablecoins, you burn $100 worth of the volatile asset. I explained how this is transformational for the very concept of money in this video. That is valid for Luna too. And I also explained how the token price can go absolutely mad multiples if this burning really takes off and starts to truly decimate the supply of the volatile asset. Luna has continued and so far gone 500x. Now, don't get me wrong, these two projects are very different. One is a huge project now with massive VC backing and enormous attention. The other one is a small grassroots project. One has privacy, the other one doesn't. So the comparison ends there. But the mechanism to burn and mint to create an algorithmic stablecoin is exactly the same. So clearly one of them stole the idea from the other. So the good news is that there is actually math involved here. That means that we can actually predict what happens to the price if this or that scenario plays out. We can't use math to predict what scenarios will happen in the world, but we can use math to say that if this scenario happens, this is going to happen with the price. And Terra Luna has really proven beyond any doubt that this model works and it works to scale. I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this, so I can maybe offer some conclusions which I haven't seen talked about so much. So this is why I'm sitting here on Friday evening doing a video for you guys instead of going home with my wife right now. Sorry. Before we get into the juice of this video, remember that while I can give financial advice to myself, I can't give it to you. If you need financial advice, ask a licensed financial advisor at your bank. I'm sure they will give you great insights into the Luna tokenomics. Or perhaps even better, research yourself. My objective is to give you education and tools so that you can steer your own ship. I've opened my own process and tools that I use myself every day on ctolarsson.com. Everyone else pitching LARSSON line to you is a scam, and if I can please ask you for a favor. If you find my content valuable, please like, subscribe and bell if you aren't already. It helps me a lot with the YouTube algorithm, which is not my friend. If we look at total value locked in all applications, Ethereum is still the king with 113 billion TVL, but then comes actually Terra Luna at 23 billion, far ahead of BSC at 11, Avalanche at 10, and Solana at 7 billion. And if you look at this chart here, it's even more striking, because you can see that Terra Luna, which is the second one from the bottom in light gray color, was nowhere in mid-2021. Growth has been astonishing. And what apps is it then in those 23 billion? Well, number one app is Anchor at 11.5 billion. Actually, Anchor themselves state 14 billion. And what is Anchor really then? Anchor is a protocol where you can deposit money and earn yield or borrow money for interest. And the interest you earn is an astonishing 19.45%. And if you want to borrow money, they say here that the borrow APR is 13.6%, but the distribution APR is 18.8%, and the net APR is positive. When the net APR is a positive number, ANC rewards distributed to borrowers are greater than the interest to be paid for the loan. Wow. So clearly Anchor is a good deal that's driving adoption. We're coming closer to the juice, but we're not there yet. Let's pull out our checklist. You can download it with explanation here on my website on ctolarsson.com for free. And as you know, it starts with a possibility. And the reason is that all crypto is so risky. So if there isn't at least a 10x upside, or preferably more, preferably 100x or even more upside, at least I don't go for it. There are so many risks and there's so much that probably won't work out. You have to think a little bit like a VC. If there is not a big upside, at least I don't touch it. So with price already having gone hundreds of X and Terra Luna being positioned 7 on CoinMarketCap with $33 billion, is there really an upside from here? Well, let's come back to this, because here on CoinMarketCap we look at market cap, and in most cases that's pretty much the same thing as price. But in this case it isn't. Let's park the first one, because that's really the key one. We'll come back to it later in the video. We do the easy ones first. Number 2 is easier. Do they have customers, paying users? Yes, they do. People buy Luna, people buy UST to use it, for example, on the Anchor service and on many other applications. So this one is a yes. Number 3 is proposition. Can they articulate the proposition, the USP, the unique selling point? And do they have one? Because most projects do not have one. Let's check their homepage, and it starts pretty bad. Programmable money for the internet. That's not a good USP, because that fits on thousands of cryptocurrencies. Spend, save and stake like never before. Again, a bunch of buzzwords that fits with thousands of projects. And here's more buzzwords. Terra is a public blockchain protocol deploying a suite of blah blah which underpin a thriving ecosystem that brings DeFi to the masses. Oh, they're really changing the world. But there actually in the middle is a unique selling point, because the part I skipped over says a suite of algorithmic decentralized stablecoins. That is pretty unique. And if we scroll down, here it is. Here is actually the USP. They should have written the industry leading decentralized stablecoin UST. And that is a unique selling point. So yes, they can articulate their USP even if it was hidden a little bit on the website. Number 4, is it convincing? Is the team and founder and the idea, proposition convincing? I would say yes, absolutely. The idea of a decentralized algorithmic stablecoins, it's wonderful. I love it. Most people haven't understood what it is, how it works, but they will. So I definitely give them a yes on this one. they will, and they are convincing many others. Next ones are technical. LARSSON line or equivalent is gold, meaning trend is up. Let's have a look. Yes, it is. LARSSON line has turned gold on Luna versus USD. If we look at Luna versus BTC, it has also flipped gold. So that's a solid yes. Number 6 is if the gold flip was recent, meaning it's the beginning of an uptrend. We can't really say that this is the beginning of any trend. If we stay on this chart and we use the daily time frames to be the most defensive we could ever be and not risk holding it if it turns down, we would have entered here at about 30 cents. Then this dump here would have taken us by surprise. We would actually have lost the 0.5 multiple here. And if we go to the most recent blue flip, we would have gotten out here at 58 and be forced to buy back here at 90. So the defensive approach of not holding through downturns would have cost us about 4x from this move. So we're at 91 now. Say that we entered at 0.3 and 4x of that move we didn't catch. But we got 76x from this move without any downside exposure. And if you take less risk, you can enter with more money and make more money in absolute terms. But say that we're willing to take a little bit more risk. We look at the 3-day candles instead. It's the same uptrend. Then there hasn't been any blue flips. So we're still on the same trend. So this one has to be a no. We can't say that we're in beginning of an uptrend for something that has just gone 500x. The last one, the asset is liquid. Can we exit if the indicator later flips blue? Yes, this is a liquid asset, absolutely. That can turn into a long discussion, but my conclusion is that yes, for all practical purposes, this is liquid. If things turn bad, I think it's possible to exit, at least compared to everything else in crypto. So let's come back to number 1 then. Is there a possibility of some real multiples from here? Let's look at this very interesting chart. So the gray line is Luna price, the blue field is Luna circulating market cap. Here we're somewhere in August 2020, here is beginning of 2021, and here we are now. And you see that at least from January 2021, these two follow each other exactly. But wait a minute now. If we look at the UST market cap, from beginning of 2021 we've had almost all the growth in market cap, from less than a billion to over 13 billion market cap today. While the narrative is that we burn Luna supply, which reduces quantity but increases price. But that isn't really reflected here. Remember here now that the market cap that we usually talk about on coin market cap and so on, that's the free flow market cap. That means that it's circulating supply times the last traded price. So if market cap of Luna is supply times price, and we burn Luna to create those USD, which we have created 13 billion of, how can market cap and price follow each other exactly like this? That's odd. How do you make that equation balance? Have we perhaps added supply? Yes, it looks like it. Here is the Luna circulating supply, and if we look here in June 2020, that was about 385 million, and if we look now, just a week or two ago, it's pretty much the same number. So let's remember once again that the market cap we're looking at here at coin market cap, 33 billion, is the free market cap, meaning it excludes the value of the tokens that are considered locked up, while the fully diluted market cap is 71 billion, if we take also those into account. 71.4 minus 33.8 leaves a difference of $37.6 billion. And I guess a good portion of those are those that are sitting here in the Terraform Labs wallet. This is 28 billion, and I actually don't know where the remaining are that are considered out of circulation, maybe some VCs or teams or something like that. Maybe one of you know, you can write it in the comments for everyone's benefit. Thank you. But the point is that while we've added a lot of market cap in UST, and while Luna market cap has had an astonishing growth, we haven't gotten the disconnect between the price and the market cap that this burn and mint algorithm should give. And why is that? It's two reasons. One is that we have added more circulating supply. And the second reason is even simpler. It has to do with the relative size of these two. So Luna, we just learned, has a circulating market cap of 33.8 billion. And the fully diluted market cap is 71 billion, which is important because it has turned out that we're fine to add more supply into this game. While the biggest minted asset, Terra USD, has a market cap of 13.4 billion. So Luna is still big in proportion to USD. And if that fact changes, then yes, there is a possibility of going 10x and even 100x from here, because Luna market cap does not need to go 100x for price to go 100x. And if you can't wrap your head around that fact, watch this video I did on XHV. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same mechanism applies here. It's just bigger magnitude. So I want to see two things happening here. Number one, I want to see total supply dropping in a meaningful way, not just as a narrative. The mechanism is that we're burning Luna supply to mint the derived assets, so let's see it. And number two, then I want to see the circulating supply times the Luna price, meaning the Luna market cap becomes smaller or at least a similar size as the derived assets like UST. That's when this can really start flying. And note that this can happen in several ways. It can happen by UST and other derived assets growing, or Luna price can drop in itself without the UST market cap dropping. If people buy and sell on speculation, for example. Can any of this happen? Is it even possible? I would say yes, it can. It's definitely possible. If USDT gets in trouble and UST acquires a significant chunk of that market, $80 billion. Now that you've seen the numbers for Luna, even the fully diluted market cap, you've seen the numbers for UST, and you see the number for USDT, you realize that this could actually play out. Now you know what key indicators I'm looking for with Luna here. Remember that investment isn't only about percentage up and percentage down, it's also about position size. If you're more confident and you protect the downside, you can go in with more money for a bigger upside exposure at the same or even lower risk. Then I want to give two bonuses for those of you who stayed here to the end. After this monumental success of Terra, Luna and UST, what do you think more will happen? I can almost promise you that there will be 10 other projects that will try to copy the exact same thing. And some of those haven't even started their growth journey yet. Their 500x, like Luna has already done, is still ahead. And second, if you want to approach this as a trader, what to do here? Well, I think it's super clear. The resistance is here. It's very simple. If we just break through this area, I think it's a good risk reward there actually, because the trend is most definitely up. And if you look at the Luna to BTC chart, that breakout has already happened. So broke out from resistance, LARSSON line just flipped gold. Not bad risk reward if the success of this project continues. If you place a stop loss below. Please like and subscribe. See you in this video next. Thank you, tack. CTO LARSSON out. Hej då!